land in the future. And so we have insurance, and then we also have an owner's contingency, meaning, hey, if there's something that was unanticipated that we didn't know, we have $250,000 right there. As far as the CMGC contract with CERC, the building itself is $8.3 million. You can see the cost there. We do have a construction contingency also built into that of $332,749. We have some other costs there as well, including a bond that's required. So the total for the guaranteed maximum price for CERC would be $9,112,335. Again, if we add up our expenses, that matches the revenues that we have to cover that. So we have some options. That number is higher than what we originally anticipated, mostly due to inflationary pressures and the cost of the land that we had to purchase. So some options are, we can, the fire station itself, it's been constructed to the minimum footprint that we can really get for fire itself. However, this project includes a shooting range. That shooting range is located on the west side of the station. There is an option for us to, A, not fully finish the shooting range, or B, not even build the shooting range structure itself. If we were to do the shell and not finish the interior of the shooting range, then that savings would be, Camden, if you can flip to that third page, 600 and, keep going down. Sorry, a little bit more, sorry. So that would save $692,784 if we were to not finish the interior of the shooting range, meaning the steel plating and the baffle for the ammunition, the target system, things like that. It would be unusable, but we would have the shell. That would reduce the GMP down to $8,419,551. The other option is to not even build the shell itself, which would reduce the guaranteed maximum price to $8,074,215. That's a reduction of $1,038,120 off the original bid. And however, looking at what construction prices have done in the last, especially the last 18 months, 24 months, I do not anticipate that price will ever get substantially cheaper than we are getting today. I think prices could come down a little bit, but then we would have to remobilize and then bring a contractor back in to finish off that shooting range. So my recommendation would be to the council that we amend the CMGC contract with CERC Construction in the amount of $9,112,335, and then allow staff to go back and work on value engineering items, which would reduce, again, that cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 to $300,000. Is there any questions that you have?
Appreciate that summary. I would agree to that. I think with especially the shooting range, I think that it's important that we have those assets available to ourselves. There are other things available that seem to be out of our control, and I would like to have that within, our departments to be able to use. So we do have the contractor here. If we need to have him come forward, but let's open this up to questions or concerns that the council has at this time.
I don't have a concern, but I do want to just make a comment regarding the value engineering. And I appreciate that. And I talked with Ryan a little bit about what value engineering actually means, and I'm fully supportive. I just want to give my plug as a council member that I still want to make sure that this is really high quality and it looks nice and we're using something that will last for a long time, just because I feel like in the long run it's better for the city and cheaper. So just my plug, I don't think that value engineering necessarily reduces that quality from what we talked about, but just know that that's my concern and something that I look for.
I just want to say, I don't believe that value engineering necessarily does that, but we as a city are always conscious of those costs and trying to be scrupulous, but there are times when we take it to the degree that it ends up costing us far more money in the future. Our fitness center is a prime example of that, the track and so many other elements of that had to go back and be redone. With our public safety, as that being our number one priority as elected officials, I just want to make sure I echo what Stacy says, that we have state-of-the-art, the things that absolutely make sense. There are some luxuries we can probably do without, and I'm sure we will. But in terms of all of the things that will serve the public and will work to provide that which we expect from our public safety people, I would just hope that those are right where they need to be. So,
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Just a question that I had is, our contract with Cedar Hills, what's the increase that we get annually by having the station built?
I'm gonna have to check on that. I want to say, my recollection was close to 300,000 a year.
Okay. Yeah, so that's over and above what we're currently getting.
Chief Rose, do you recall what that number is off the top of your head?
No.
Yeah, there will be an additional fee that Cedar Hills will pay because we will vacate the Cedar Hills station on Canyon Road, and then Cedar Hills will retake over that for their purposes, and then we will move the firefighters and equipment from that station on Canyon Road to this station.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that that increase in revenue will help offset some of these costs, although it's annual and some of these are fixed one-time costs, but that would be helpful to recognize. So if you wouldn't mind just shooting an email with that number, that'd be helpful for me. And then just noticed in the contract, I'm sure it's typical on it, it's just section 6.1.5 talks about rental rates for construction and your own equipment. It just says NA in there. I'm assuming that means not applicable, but I just double checked and making sure that wasn't some oversight of an interest rate that was looking at there.
Yeah, I believe that is not applicable to this contract. That's included in the contract.
Okay.
As I remember in our prior discussions, we were going to put the police shooting range in the basement. Can you elaborate on why we are not doing that, just for our information?
Yes, a couple of reasons. Number one is cost. It actually was more expensive to put it in the basement than to put it on the side. One of the concerns also is safety when you have the police shooting down, and they are great shots. I'm not taking anything away from the police department, but
At least some.
let's just assume there was a stray bullet and you have firefighters sleeping upstairs. That could tickle someone. And so it's actually safer for us to build it offset from the building itself. But really cost and then access. Getting into that basement, the ammunition trap that contains all of the bullets that get fired, that has to be cleaned out periodically. And that ammunition ends up being pretty heavy as you collect that much. And so how do we get down into the basement? And we looked at different options, like, okay, maybe we have a little driveway or some way to get a forklift down there. It just was really problematic as we started to look at the operations of a shooting range to have it in the basement. So the decision was to put it above ground.
Okay. Makes sense to me. Impact fees. They're both fairly substantial, at least at Port Royal, like me, fairly substantial amounts of money. Just curious how much might be in each impact fee, and I should have looked it up. I apologize, I didn't. How much might be in each of the current funds right now? How far down are we deleting them? Just out of curiosity.
Roughly, there's 2.5 in each police and fire, and Anna could correct me on that number. But there is ample impact fee in the fund to cover the.
2 to 2.5 million
Yeah.
each. So why shouldn't we do, this is rhetorical in my mind, why shouldn't we do the police station too?
I think we should.
The building,
I think we
whatever
should.
you want to call it,
The shooting range and.
the shooting range
Yes.
building, all of that. If we've got the money,
Mhm.
and we've planned on it for 2 or 3 years, we've been talking about this, however long it was, has been. I don't understand why. I know you're giving us options, and I appreciate that. But again, I don't understand why we don't just do it. That's
Staff's
my
recommend-
comment.
Yeah, staff's recommendation is that we complete this project. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mayor,
Questions? Yes,
if
go
I
ahead.
could, I just, for the record, want to go on the record and say that I'll be abstaining from this. This was all awarded prior to me being on the council, but having, working for that contractor, I'll be abstaining from this, so,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, any other concerns, comments? Okay, if not, I will call for a vote. Well, a motion, excuse me. You know, a suggested motion.
Motion to approve the amended CMGC contract with Circuit Construction for Fire Station 5-2 with a guaranteed maximum price of $9,112,335. Or, that's the right one, right? So, and instruct staff to coordinate the consideration of value engineering which will reduce the
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Shelton, second by Councilmember Taylor, and I will call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Councilmember Shelton?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Barnes?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 2, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Barnes,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Hunter, and I'll call for a roll call vote. Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Barnes?
Aye.
And Councilmember Shelton.
Aye.
Okay, we have about 11 minutes, well, according to that clock. According to my, yeah, it's about 11 minutes, and then we will proceed with a public hearing on a tax increase, so.